What is up, y'all? In this video, I am going to show you how you can 10x a research task using AMP. So what I have here is this new paper from just a couple days ago, which appears to show a pretty big breakthrough in reasoning, as is evidenced by results on ARC-AGI-1 and ARC-AGI-2. And what I'm going to show you is how you can use AMP to research this paper and extract a blog post draft, a one-pager, and a glossary in the first reply to this message. How you can do this using AMP with a full walkthrough, as well as an agent MD file that you can use, and show you how you can do this using AMP. All right, so I'm going to show you how I did it, give you a full walkthrough, provide you with the content like prompts and things in a link in the thread. But before you get started, there's a couple of prerequisites that you're going to want to have set up. First thing is, I'm here in VS Code. We have our AMP extension. So if you don't have that installed already, you want to make sure you have that installed so you can use AMP to do this research task. We also provide an AMP CLI tool. So you can use that as well. If you have AMP installed on the CLI, I'll include a link to that as well in case you want to do it the CLI path. But what I did was I did it through the VS Code extension. So I want to show you how I went about that. Basically, you're going to need a repository of markdown files or PDFs, information that you want to do some research over. I am using Obsidian, which is free to use, and you can download it on Obsidian's website. What's nice about Obsidian is that it saves everything in markdown files. So it's basically just a giant repo of different markdown files that I have here. You can use Obsidian, but it would also work with a GitHub repo with different markdown files, is like reports, text-based reports that you can output into markdown files, like this example here, this one pager. The AIs are super good at doing that, generating markdown files. So what I like is that with using Obsidian, you can just open up your Obsidian vault here in VS Code, and then when you ask AMP to do a task, you can say, hey, place the output of this task in markdown format, and just go ahead and save it there for me. So that's what I did here. I think it's a pretty nice flow. So what you end up with is actually in Obsidian, you have all these markdown files that were generated by AMP. So it makes it pretty simple. And let me walk you through how I did it. So we have our AMP extension installed. And then what I did was I opened up my Obsidian folder, which is saved here, my Obsidian vault, into VS Code rather, with the AMP extension. And I have all my files here. And the file in question that I wanted to do some research over is this newer reasoning model research, which in its own right is super fascinating. And I'll probably do another post just like actually going into what this paper discusses. It's a hierarchical reasoning model, which is scoring really well on ARC-AGI-1 and ARC-AGI-2. So I'm using that as my example, and I have it saved here in my Obsidian vault. And what I did in this case was I asked AMP to use the Oracle to create a research plan for that hierarchical reasoning model PDF file. And the plan that the Oracle is going to create should direct AMP to extract the key and most salient points from the paper for a general audience of people who are interested in AI. Now, right here is the most impressive part, or the most unexpected part, because this is the first time I tried to do this, and it actually worked even better than I was imagining it would. So what the Oracle did in AMP, and if you don't know, the Oracle is using O3 under the hood. It's a read-only agent. So it's using O3 as opposed to some of the other functionality of AMP uses either Sonnet 4 or Gemini 2.5 Pro, and generated this plan to go through this document, and it just created these different phases, which I think this is amazing. It basically set up roles. It asked AMP to set up roles in a timeline, to create a quick orientation document, structural mapping with diagrams. So what the plan is doing is it's automatically generating this scaffolding for AMP to work within in order to perform research on this documentation. So I think that's really cool. What I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to ask AMP to export this plan as a markdown file into the same folder, and then I want to share that with you. So that way you don't even need to ask AMP to actually create its own plan. You can just reuse this plan, which is the structured way of going about researching through a research paper, a document like that. So I'll include that at the end. Now, this plan sounded good to me. And what I said was execute this plan and create a folder to place the output in my Zettelkasten and literature notes inside of Obsidian. So then what we see is we see AMP just going ahead and going through the entire research plan step by step. And it's spinning up subagents. It's creating a separate subagent for each phase and then doing the phase within the context of a subagent, which I think is really cool. And it's just deciding to do this on its own. So I didn't need to explicitly instruct it to do any of these things. It's just created a plan, going through it. And what's impressive is, to me, is the quality of the output. So at the end, we have the Oracle's 5-phase research plan has been completed. And then we have all these different materials. So now if we go over into Obsidian again, and we look at the folder, that did create a figures folder, we can look through all this sort of like documentation it created for itself on the fly, right? So it created an orientation document first to get like high level understanding of the paper. And then after that, it created a structure map for itself. So it's basically auto generating its own scaffolding on the fly using the plan that it created. This orientation and structure map are like context that it's giving to itself in order to complete the final research task, which would be a blog post draft. So maybe I just want to go through this and read it to get like a summary in a more easily digestible way. We have a high level summary of the findings. So primary benchmarks, that sort of thing, performance metrics. This video is about how to do this in AMP, but I'm actually also very interested in going through all this research. We have a glossary, we have a one-pager. So all of these things have been generated on the fly. Simple initial prompt, which is basically 2 sentences. And then what I want to do is I want to say, okay, now take the research plan that the Oracle generated and save it into my prompts folder in the same directory that you're currently in and name it Agent Research Plan. And so now I'm just going to ask AMP to extract the research plan from its own thread and save it into my prompts folder here. So now I can share this with you. And also what I can do is I'll be able to reuse this again. So the next time a very interesting paper comes out, I'll be able to just run this research plan. I don't need to ask the Oracle again. So I would say this full process probably took like 10 minutes in total. And now we have basically like a research report, a full research report, a blog post that would maybe take a grad student or a research assistant, I don't know, maybe a full day, couple of days to do this. And we have it all here. So that might be more than 10xing a research task with AMP.